to kind of give some background on this, because I think it's helpful to set some context before I kind of talk about the tool itself. We do bulky item collection. We collect up to 3 items once per week for free for residents. They can schedule more, but it costs money if it's more than 3 items per week. And so we have a bulky team that goes around and does these collections. And before we implemented this tool, so going back pre-pandemic, the way it was supposed to work is that garbage drivers were on their route they had a little device where they called pinpoint, where they would mark a spot where they saw a bulky item that was out. So the idea was to take all those. They would bring their devices back to the office where it was all geocoded and everything, and a route would be prepared for the next day to have the bulky collectors go out and collect those items that were sitting out the next day. So it was nice from the standpoint that it didn't really require much of the resident. All they had to do was set their item out, theoretically, and it would disappear the day after their trash day. In practice, of course, you can imagine some of the issues that we had with that. It was difficult. So we would get a lot of miscollection calls because either A, the driver didn't see the item, or B, the resident might set it out after the trash driver's already passed. We had instances where a driver would mark something like a basketball goal, and we would go collect it and find out, oh, that was just set out there for the kids to play on, and we shouldn't have taken it. So then we end up having to replace that. Stuff like that just, there was no communication with the residents on this. It was all just sort of a kind of a guessing game with it. And again, so much possibility for human error in there with being able to correctly mark spots and knowing exactly what to collect. So it was challenging. And then, so we would get a lot of miscollection calls too. And so then the resident by this time is irritated because the system didn't work the way it was supposed to. And we're having to now go and do, a run to collect one that should have been routed properly the first time. And it's really inefficient. And it got to the point where the system was so broken that the bulky drivers were basically every week just going and running the entire route and looking for stuff themselves. And again, not a foolproof plan for some of the same reasons I already mentioned, and so inefficient. I mean, if we had, we average around 100 to 120 pickups per day, or bulky pickups. So if you're talking about a route or, a set of routes with 18 to 20,000 stops on it per day, and you only have items at 120 of them, it's really inefficient just to go around and collect or just look for stuff and collect like that. So it was better from a customer service point of view, but from our point of view, still very, not a great system. So then the pandemic hits, and Churchill once said, never let a good opportunity or never let a good crisis go to waste, or something like that. I totally butchered, but you get the idea. So we took that opportunity to make our bulky service a call in. You have to put in a service request and we will come and get your item. So that's a step up. Now we know where we have to collect from. The caller may or may not have gotten information on what is being collected. We also, so varying levels of information are coming in about this for us. The resident has some communication with us, at least to put in the initial request. But so here's an example of what might happen, though, and an issue that we had and didn't really even realize how big this issue was until we started using Recollect. But I'll illustrate this with an example. So if a resident puts a bulky item out on a Tuesday and called us up and said, hey, I've got a bulky item out, and we say, okay, great, we'll be there in 5 to 7 business days to get it. Sometimes we were able to go get it the next day. Sometimes it was 5 to 7 business. Sometimes it was longer. But so let's say this resident put in the request on Tuesday. Wednesday, they go to work and come home and their bulky item's gone. And they go, oh, great. Okay, the city came and got our bulky item. Well, the problem is that the neighbor came and got their bulky item, and, it's not a problem. It's great. We love that sort of reuse. But the neighbor came and picked up their washer and took it. And so our bulky driver, on Friday comes out and is ready to go and collect this and drives by and there's nothing out. So big wasted empty trip for us, wasted time, wasted gas, and just, again, inefficient, but, seamless for the residents. So that's good. We did. One of the other issues that wasn't good for the residents, though, is we're still not giving them good expectations on when it's going to be picked up. So like I said, it just varied on how busy, how many open requests there were, and who was working and how busy they were and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, so that's all the context before we decided to implement the special collection tool. So the thing that's very nice about the Recollect tool, there are several things that are very nice about it. Number one, the residents schedule their own collections online. And when I say schedule it, they pick the day that their items are going to get picked up. So that's great. That solves the problem of the residents' expectations being set. They know exactly what day it's going to be picked up and exactly what day it needs to be out there. They are also able to say that same person goes in and self-schedules a pickup on a Tuesday, and they schedule it for Friday. Great. They come home from work on Wednesday and their item's gone. They get a reminder on Thursday night that says, hey, we're coming to pick your item up tomorrow. If you need to cancel, let us know. They can cancel themselves right there and go, oh, my item's already gone. Cancel. We don't have to go do an empty trip there. It's taken off the schedule. Our driver doesn't have to go out there and see that there's nothing there. It also leaves open a slot for somebody else if they need it. So that's huge for us. Again, reduces administrative effort for us. It leaves time for us to do other things where the communication, for all the reasons I just talked about, the communications with the residents is just a huge part of this. And it just, again, residents feel good when you communicate with them and they have clear expectations of the services that you're going to be providing and how it's going to be done and when it's going to be done. It, again, allows data collection for us. And this is stuff we didn't have before. We're able to see when people go in and schedule this bulky item, they tell us exactly what they have, not only how many items, but what they are. So we're able to see, oh, okay, people are overwhelmingly disposing of chairs. I mean, great. So we know now that's a big thing for us. And we're able to set our own schedules too. So we keep 120 slots open per day for bulky pickups. But let's say one of the bulky drivers is going to be on vacation next week. We can cut the available slots to 90 each day. So it helps the supervisors care for their crews and make sure that, nobody's getting overworked and the workload's reasonable. And again, helps us being able to, serve customers when we say we're going to serve them and how we say we're going to serve them. And they're not left wondering, well, why didn't my item get picked up today? We still have some misunderstandings and things like that, but there's so few and far between now that it's just made a huge difference with our customer service. We've gotten a lot of compliments on the new tool as well. So for us, it's just been a monumental leap in customer service and for our own efficiency. So here's a look at what the customer sees when they would put in their address. So in this case, you see their address up there. It's Hope Valley Road. Once they pull up their address, they just pick whatever items they have. And this is a very small subset of all of them that are available. So there's different categories: furniture, appliances, etc. And there's also a category down there for prohibited items, so that customers don't always read, but when they do, they can see that, okay, they don't take glass, so I can't put glass out there, or they don't take cardboard boxes through this, so I shouldn't put cardboard out. It's nice for us, again, to be able to have that information for the resident to be able to see that and self-serve and not have to call us and ask. Once they select the items that they want picked up, that piece on the right, they just pick a date, and after that, they just put in their contact information and we come get the item. So again, very seamless, self-service, big difference for us and the customer. Just to kind of show a couple of, so the metric on the left there is built into Recollect, and there's a lot of different metrics you can get straight from Recollect. In fact, all the other charts that you see, that you saw previously and that you see on the right there, I go into Recollect to pull that information and put it in our performance management system that the city uses. So able to just pull everything that I need directly from Recollect, which is nice. But it shows our bulky appointments there online. And like I said, we do about 120 per day, 100 to 120 per day. It's a little slower in the winter than it is in the spring and summer when people are doing cleanups and stuff like that. But I really want to draw your attention to the chart on the right, because this just shows what I explained with sort of the background of our bulky program and how we used to run it. So you see on the left-hand side there, back a few years ago, our missed collections were ridiculous. I mean, we're talking about, roughly 10% of our customers getting their bulky items missed. And that's just horrendous for, that's terrible customer service. So you can see the progression there over the time when we mid-year through FY20 is when we implemented the call-in system. So you see that FY20 is a little better than the previous year. And then FY21 is when things were fully, call in, and we're seeing a lot fewer missed collections. And then so partway through April of FY22 is when we started using the Recollect system. And so it even went down further, and we're expecting it to continue to go down. We're seeing our missed collections right now at the lowest levels we've ever seen them on a monthly basis. So, and it's usually, we're finding a lot of it are the residents' fault. They'll even call us and say, "Oh, I forgot you were, coming today," or whatever, even though they get a reminder and all that. Or they, don't follow directions and they set it out against their mailbox or something like that, and we have to go back and get it later. But for the most part, that chart, that picture tells 1,000 words there. So